First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who voted in the Diallo Family Annual Halloween Costume Contest. Shout out to everybody that voted for me and son too. We won the contest, which is my son's first time ever winning a contest. I won one time before with Kanye. The biggest winner is my oldest son. He dominated the Halloween contest, and he lost this year. And my youngest, we won. My
Testing, testing. Oh, that's better, ain't it? How's that? Is that better? Now no sound? Word? Hello? Now it's showing that I got sound. Okay, good. Anyway, like I said, I had a listener that was going to get me a microphone and setup because y'all see this thing is broken. I better stop moving it. And at the time, they had messaged me and was like, yo, go online, find a mic, and I'll send it to you. But then at that same time, I was getting ready for a trip to Panama, Kansas City, and Uruguay. And I had all this work and all this shit to do. And I totally fumbled that microphone back. So I'm going to go back in my messages and see if I can find the listener that was going to bless me with a microphone and try try to make that happen. Because yeah, this thing is mad defective. So bear with me, you know. But anyway, I want to talk about something positive again. We won the costume contest, and I want to give thanks and praise to everybody who voted for us in the costume contest. Me and my son, we dressed up as cult members of the Temple of Abba, which is a cult, the fictional cult. Any resemblance to any cult you might know of or be familiar with is purely coincidental. So the Abba cult was what's going on was successful. We won, and I'm just going to share it with you just to show thanks and appreciation and praise. And I'm going to share with y'all what we won, because every year we set aside a prize for this. So, you know, it's high stakes. And, you know, my family is a loving, mutually supportive, revolutionary, Pan-Africanist, socialist, vegan family. But when it comes to the Halloween contest, shit gets mad vicious. Mad vicious. So, you know, this ain't no joke. You know, this is on my life. So I'm gonna share this, and then we'll get down to business, because I just want to share this because I have mad appreciation. So here we go. Make the sound go. Okay, here we go.
Brothers and sisters, it is indeed the last days. The last you are being tested. And if you do not grasp the comprehension of the understanding, then you will be foreboded into the apocalypse. Brother, read.
In the 613th year of the reign of Abu, king of Israel, came up against Judah and built Ramah to the intent that he might not let go out of come into or the king of Judah.
It is very clear, as the brother has just demonstrated, that therefore, however, if we are not to be found into the missing, then we must adhere to the understanding of the founding of the laws. All right, brother. Continue.
Lord, I said, and the king's house had sent to Baha, king of Syria, that dwelt, and I said dwelt, through the Damascus, saying 3 times in this language,
Tighten up your beard, brother Malcolm.
There was in between.
Therefore, however, understanding this, that you must make your contribution to the handsomely to the nation, so that we may build a paradise on earth as it will be in the afterlife. Amun.
All right, so that
your battle is Just Hilarious versus Michael Blackson.
And, we won. I don't know what that noise is. Sorry. So that was the costume contest. We won. Like I said, any resemblance to any known or established organization or group or individuals is purely coincidental. And let me tell you something about that video. When my son was reading, he was like reading. And first of all, he was like, wow, this is really in the Bible, because my sons were raised secular. They weren't raised atheists. My sons were raised secular. And so they were allowed to experience, like, if the Jehovah's Witnesses at the door, if the Jehovah's Witnesses went knocking, they could go out and talk to them. I would allow Jehovah's wickedness, and I'd allow anybody with religious views or values or beliefs, if they wanted to engage with my sons, I'd be like, go ahead, holla at your boy. And you know, relatives that wanted to take them to Easter or take them to church, I allowed my sons to be exposed to religious beliefs and practices, and even to their extent. So there was no restrictions on, but I would always speak facts and evidence and be very clear on my position, and allow other people to. That's how they were raised entire lives. But anyway, my son was like looking for a Bible verse to read, and he was like looking at various, and it was like, wow, I can't believe this stuff is really in the Bible. Like, this is the Bible? This is what people be talking about? And I'm like, yeah, that's the Bible. And he was like, wow. So he's like, I'm just going to read this verse. It sounds ridiculous. And then he started reading, and I said, you can't just read it. That's not how they do it. I said, what they do is they call letters, or they call words. Calling words is different than reading. You know, so it's different than saying, you know, reading the line versus calling the words. So we had to actually practice on how to read, like, you know, someone might read in a like, and so he was. I just wanted to be known that's not how he actually reads or reads aloud in calling letters. So that was part of the thing. And anyway, it was very successful. And let me show you what I won. I'm so tired of balling. Too many switches in my mix. You ain't never heard a baller say nothing like this, huh? If the vegan chocolate ain't talking, I'm not listening. I said, if it don't make chocolate, then it don't make sense. I'm so tired of balling. I don't even like showing. I don't like doing this. I know it's people out there that ain't got it like this. I know it's people out here who ain't who don't enjoy this abundance. So I feel uncomfortable just flexing on y'all. But this is y'all. This is y'all. Y'all did this. Vegan candy bars. So I'm gonna, if you see me out looking down bad, it's because I've been out here. I don't care. Y'all can say all y'all want. It's my life. It's now or never. And I'm gonna live. I'm about to ball out this weekend. I got a few more days. Yes, I'm gonna make me some latte, oat milk latte, and I'm gonna just ball. I'm gonna spice out. I earned it. I had to split half with Seiko, so he got the whole half. If I had just done my own thing, I'd have took the whole shit. But that's how I'm balling. That's how I'm living. And then guess what? Speaking of kids, I had to go to my son's parent-teacher conference. And my wife was like, you have to go to the parent-teachers conference. Now, my thing is, I'm black. And I thought I married a black woman, but apparently may not be in a interracial relationship, but I'm in an intercultural relationship. Me and my wife are from two different cultures. Because I'm black. I'm hood. I'm one of them around the way cats. And my thing is, you don't go to the school if there's no problem. You don't go to the school if there's no problem. You show up at the school only when there's an issue. So my wife is like, parent-teacher conferences. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, you have to go. And I'm like, why do I have to go? She's like, I went last time. And I want the school to see that he has a supportive black family. I want to pretend like he has a supportive black father in the home. They need to know that. And I'm like, why? What? What is that? And I'm like, sure, why did you want me to cosplay a supportive black father? And so anyway, she forced me to go to parent-teacher conference. Now, my son, he's a straight A student. I'm like, and I don't want to go there. And it's like, oh, your son is wonderful. He's such a joy to have in class. Who wants that? Who wants that? And so I had to go there today. And then they don't give out the grade cards unless you show up. So I go there, they give me his grade cards. He's like top of his class, at least top 3. And he's all A's. And what they call them, AP class. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? So I'm in there. But I did find out something. We owe some school fees. And I'm like, this is public school. What the fuck is school fees? Like we owe hundreds of dollars in school fees. I'm like, what? This is Chicago CPS. This is public school, and they shaking us down. And the business finance lady sitting there with her phone like this. I'm like, what is happening? And yeah, okay, whatever, man. Some of y'all is better than me. This is the first time I've set foot in his school this school year. So what he started in September, this first time I set foot in school, everything's fine. And like I said, where I'm from, how I was raised, you don't show up at school unless it's a problem. And then you threaten your child and say, let them call me again. They better not call me again. That's how I went. That's how my schooling life occurred. And the whole point of being good in school, the whole point of doing your work and not making no trouble and not skipping and playing games, the whole point of that is so that your guardians, so that your parent or guardian never got called and never came up to the school. That's the only reason I've been halfway behaved myself is so that I don't. So if my son is doing well in school and I'm coming up there anyway, what is the incentive for him to do well? Anyway, that's my philosophy. Apparently, my wife telling me that's not how it goes. That we're there to support him and lift him up when he's doing well and support him when he's struggling and all this corny ass shit. I'm like, don't come at me with all that righteous. I don't want to hear that. You know, it worked for me. It got me here. I made it. So anyway, that was it. I had to go there and they told me what a great kid and what a joy he was. And I felt real mad corny for being there. But I guess that bought me some time. That bought me some ammo because, you know, marriage is an ongoing tug of war. So now I could be like, the next thing, parenting thing that's needed. The next parenting thing that's needed. Yeah, I agree. The blood clot. We owe hundreds of dollars for prom. Like, he ran track and he got like a track uniform. And what else does he do there? I think he's on the chess club, some shit. You got to pay extra. You know, like they were like, look, he brings his lunch every day, so I don't even know where them fees is coming from. You know, he can't handle a rock. He won't take the pill. I can't get that dude out on the hardwood. And all that waste of all that hype. But I digress. Anyway. That's it, man. That's the thing. I won the contest. So that's how the Lord works. He gives you your up and your lows. He gives you ups and your lows because I was doing good. Won the Halloween contest, and then I had to go to parent-teacher conference and I saw his GPA on this. I don't even look at his grade card. I look at his grade card. This dude got a 4.5 GPA. I'm like, he's picking cotton at night. This boy is working off the clock. 4.5? Where he think he going? Because even then, he ain't going to Harvard. We ain't got money. We ain't got it like that. Even if he get tuition paid, we ain't got money for all the other peripheral stuff. We can't play Chicago public school to fees. So I don't know, man. Don't reach for the stars. We reach for the top of the trees. Don't even leave the atmosphere. Calm it down. You know, we proletariat. We proletariat. We of the people. All this striving stuff. Anyway, shout out if Sekou ever sees this. Good for you. Proud of you. All that jazz. Totally didn't need to be there. I want to apologize to the parents who really needed to be there because their kids just don't know how to act. Moving on. Elections tomorrow. Let's talk about the elections. Let me tell y'all how I do. Look at all this shit I have on my desk. I don't trust nobody that got money for glossy flyers. This is my alderman. They send this shit to you, you know. And so this is the new alderman. I didn't vote for him, but he got in. And I'm getting all kind of hate message about him. This is the lady. I'm actually voting for her. But I don't like this. Like, where you get money for this? Who paying you? Who's payroll? And so I get this shit because I vote in every election, off-cycle election. And so I get these things, and I just got a ton of them. And I bring them here and I put them on my desk and I look at them. And what I look at most is who paid for this shit. You know, like the INCS Action Independent Committee. I look for who paid for this shit. Now, this dude, let me see the other dude. This is some weird shit. All right. So this dude right here, this guy is a black conservative, right? He's running for school board. Andre Smith is running to get on the school board, right? And he's basically a black conservative. And the reason he's running to get on school board is because he is in favor of this bullshit called school choice. And, or some of y'all, and where depending on where you live, they call it school choice or school voucher. He basically wants to siphon money, public funds from public institutions and hand them over to religious and private for-profit institutions and schools to further obliterate, because part of the neocon agenda and the neoliberal agenda is to privatize public infrastructure and public institutions and get as much public resources into the hand of private interest. So the neoliberals want to give it over to private industries and corporations, companies, and wealthy individuals, whereas the neocons and the fascists want to do that, and they want to also give it over to religious, theocratic institutions. And so this dude, he is not partnered with Kamala. The local and national Democratic Party doesn't support this dude. He gets no Democratic funding. He gets all of his funders and partnerships are from shadowy PACs that have been linked to right-wing and Republican institutions. So he just threw Kamala's picture on there. And he has these bills where he just was like, oh, I'm gonna put my face. And if you go to some places, he literally is like attacking Kamala, attacking the local Democrats, attacking the Chicago Teachers Union. But then he put out these flyers to give the false. So this dude don't even like Kamala. That'd be like literally me creating a flyer for the BroDiallo show, and I just find some clip art or some photo, some generic photo of Kamala, and I put me there, and I could do that shit. It's like, hey, subscribe to the BroDiallo show. You know, that shit, you know, I ain't mad at him. But it's crazy is because him and Kamala are enemies. He doesn't like Kamala, but he understands that this is a Democratic stronghold. This city is a Democratic state in it, and this is all me. If you ain't got this, these are our voter cards. I don't know if they need it, but this is for me, my son, and my wife. This is all that I'm in charge of elections around here. See, she got a lot of stuff. See, she got way too much. Reading formula for our teacher. She's a former math teacher. And I'm gonna tell y'all, but I got so many of these, and I read them because I know how fake shit is. How fake shit is. And this is Jessica Biggs, right? She's also running, right? And then look what she got. She's like, hey, I'm one of you. I practically married into the game. So, you know, shit is wild. Anyway, look at this big ass shit. I don't like it. If you got money, this is from Prep Winkle. This is Prep Winkle. She's the Democratic boss. She's the boss. And so this is her telling me who to vote for. This is the official Democratic line. And if you go to vote locally in Chicago, you'll see a lot of people with this right here, because this simplifies it. Because people ain't like me. People got lives. People have friends and family and people who love them. And so they don't have to sit and go over these websites. I'm going to show y'all some good resources. I'm going to tell y'all how I do politics, right? But her son was just in the chat. Let me see if he's still here. You here, Prep Winkle? Yeah, he here. Where you at? It's as fake as your acceptance. Yeah, this is him. Anyway, this lady, cover up the address. I don't want all y'all ladies stalking me. I got somebody. This lady right here, she runs things. This lady runs the local Democratic. Oh, here he is. What's up, man? I was telling people about, you know, Tony Prepwinkle. And what Tony Prepwinkle is telling me everybody to vote for. So the Democrat, this is a Democratic stronghold. So she's right here. Vote Kamala, vote Kari. These are the water reclamation district. Now, the water reclamation district, actually, we have some Green Party candidates for water reclamation. So I'm not going to do what she told me. So I can't vote for her, Kamala. I ain't voting for her. And I'm voting Green for water reclamation. As far as Cook County Circuit Court, most of these candidates run unopposed. So I have to go back and at my ballot. The Circuit Court, I'm going to tell you how I do this Circuit Court stuff because the judges matter. She's like, just vote yes on retention of all judges. I can't do that, Tony. I can't do it. You know, I can't. So I'm going to tell y'all how I do that. So a lot of her ticket I am going to support. Not all of it. But I tell y'all that. But this is the thing. When you go to the polls in Chicago, a lot of people going to be carrying this because Prep Winkle's like, this is who you vote for. to protect you from this fascist. So we need neoliberalism to protect us from fascism. And I ain't so, damn, god damn. This is another one. Oh, this is one they sent my wife. They sent my wife this one. They said it's the same thing. Why they do that? This is the one they sent me. Dangerous, deranged, because I'm a black man. Okay, I shout out to the Democrats, and they sent my wife this one because my wife is a black woman. So they know how they know their shit. Listen, I got mad respect for political thinkers and political actors. I got mad respect. Okay. It's the same thing. It all says the same shit, who to vote for, which ticket to vote for. But they were like, oh, it's a black man in that house. And these black men are very, very receptive to Trump and Trump's bullshit. So let's get this brother right. Let's line this brother up. Let's tighten this brother up. And so they sent me this. Like, this man is dangerous and deranged, black man. But for the sisters are like, they don't rock with Trump like the brothers is doing. So they sent her this, something hopeful and uplifting. Let me tell you something, Chicago Democratic Council. You can send me hopeful shit too. I'm not no black conservative. Don't play like that. But anyway, let me give you some resources. You can go, because let me tell you, you don't want to be in the ballot box. You know, the Republicans are already, trying to kick us off the ballot. The Republicans are putting the old and antiquated voting machines in black communities. They're doing a lot of shit. So when you walk in the ballot, you want to be ready. So you go to this website. This is a nonpartisan website called Ballottopia. And you just put in your area code, right? And you can get a sample ballot. Where the fuck? I had all this shit queued up and it'd be going away. Now I'm gonna tell y'all why you should vote, even if you don't like either presidential candidate. Ballottopia. Ballotpedia. Right? Let me show you this. Y'all go here. This is how you vote. And everybody should vote. So you go to Ballotpedia. You put in your area code here, and it will give you and you go to view my ballot. Let me just, what's the one place? Let me see. I just put in a random one. Keep people out my bed. Is that not a valid? 11. Oh. I thought that, I can't even remember my Brooklyn. Okay, I don't know where that is. Wherever that is, that's a fictional place. That's not my code. But I can look at the ballot. And on Tuesday, it shows you your whole ballot. And so that's Massachusetts somewhere. So you can look at the summaries about what it is. But what you can really do is you can vote. You can go through what you want to vote for and where you want to vote on here. For the ballot question, do you approve a law summarized below on which no vote was taken, blah, blah, blah. And you can say, So they ask you what you want to vote for. They give you a summary, what a yes vote means, what a no vote, and what the ballot question will look like. And then you could look at who supports it and how much it'll cost. And then you can say, yeah, I support that. Right? And then you can go through the whole ballot, on all the questions. You can vote for president. See, in there, because in Massachusetts, they have Jill Stein and Shiva and Chase and Claudia De La Cruz. They're all on the ballot there. You can pick, let's just say, this is who I support. I click on here, and then you can vote for the Senate and Elizabeth Warren. She's scum of the earth, but let's go with it. And again, unenrolled. I don't know either one of them because I don't live in Massachusetts. But you do all that. Then you can vote from home, and then you can print your ballot, right? And so this is what it looks like. And if you got to put it on black and white, or it'll print in color and take up your print. But you print your ballot, right? It got where you live. Me, Southside Chicago. Let's just do this. And this, you can take this into the thing and be like, boop, 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 boop. And you don't have to sit there and read like ballot question 1, ballot question 2, what is it, and who endorsed what, and all that. You can walk in and just bang, 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 bang. Because I see mad people in the voting booths and they reading shit and that. I just already know. I do my voting. Once you go there, even if it's early voting, even if you do mail-in voting, you can do this. So this is my ballot here. And now it's not everything. I did some of the stuff Prep Winkle told me to do, which I was going to do anyway. A lot of the candidates are run unopposed. And sometimes I like to just click on the unopposed candidates because I want my ballot to be complete. I have to write in my presidential selection because they're not in on the ballot. Claudia De La Cruz. But there are 2 measures. One is Illinois Assisted Reproductive Health Care Advisory Question, which is saying, do you want to give public funds or do you want public insurance to cover women's reproduction and to help fund women's reproduction? So I'm like, I ain't no woman. Why am I even able to vote on women's reproduction? I don't plan on reproducing. I don't even plan on reproducing with the woman who wants to be with me. I'm done reproducing. And here I am, an old man with, older children who's done reproducing myself. But I get a say in how women's reproduction is funded because that's how election work. People, and I get to vote on shit that I really shouldn't be up to voting. But anyway, I went and looked this up and found out that Black, and I don't like the word Latino. What the hell is a Latino? So if we're going to go by race, then we have to list the race. And Latino is not a race. Latino is it's not even a nationality. It's an ethnic group. And within the Latino community, you can have Asians, white people, indigenous, native people, and African people can all be Latino. So then they want to divide shit up and they want to fraction. So we're going to talk about nationality. Because a Latino can be a Honduran, a Mexican, Puerto Rican, any South American, except apparently for a guy from someone from Guyana, they're Caribbean. So they play games. None of this shit makes any consistent sense. But they say, so I ain't going to say Black, but Black people specifically and poor people as a larger group, encompassing group, get next to no support for reproduction and reproductive policy. And I am a poor Black man. And I am in solidarity with poor and working class Black people. So this particular question on Illinois Assisted Reproductive Health Advisory question, I'm voting in solidarity with women. And I'm voting in solidarity with my class. So I vote yes, even though I don't intend on utilizing this. I, as a citizen and a member of a community, want to support other people. So, but I even think it's absurd that reproductive rights, reproductive support is even on the fucking ballot. What does a middle-aged man who is done having children, and even my partner ain't trying to have no more children, but I get to go in the ballot and vote on the resources available to women, more likely younger than me, whether or not they're going to have access to this service and to these resources. So anyway, I said yes, voting out of my conscious support, my support for women and my support for my class. So this is a ballot measure that is mainly centered on poor women. And poor women, Black women fall into that category. Black women, Native women, refugee, migrant women, they fall into that category. So yes, the obvious question is yes. And then there's this tax advisory question, right? And the tax advisory question is saying, should there be a 3% tax on all people making over $1 million a year? A 3% tax. And that 3% tax will go to provide relief for property taxes for the rest of the community. So to lower the property tax burden of the poor, working class, and middle class people, they will tax people who make $1 million or more per year, an additional 3%, and then that money, that is what you call a redistributive tax or a progressive tax, where you're taking from the top and redistributing it more evenly. I'm like, hell yeah. And then for you people who are not yet millionaires, who are thinking, oh, now this more than likely won't pass because people will be like, oh, more taxes. Now, this tax that's on the ballot will only affect 0.3% of all people in Illinois. Now, not 1.3% of all people in Chicago, but 0.3%, not 1%, not 3%, but 0.3% of all people in this entire huge state will be affected by this tax. But this tax will bring a relief and lower the tax burden, which means fewer people being removed from their home and even more people being able to afford housing. And if you don't have a corrupt scumbag landlord, if you're renting and they don't try to, shake you down for everything they can get from you, there's no more, at least that particular justification for raising rents will be alleviated or reduced. So I'm like, yes, of course. But what's likely since in the last 3 election cycles, there have been 3 progressive taxation bills in order to reduce the tax burden on poor and working class people and place that tax burden on high earners. That has been 3 different ballot measures. I don't even want to bring them up and read them because it's so sad. And like I said, most of these tax reforms, because the bulk of the wealth in this state is locked in multinational corporations and wealthy individuals. They hold the vast majority of wealth in this state, in the world, and the United States. So there's a tax where literally 99.7% of the people will not be affected. So if you put something in the ballot saying we got a redistributive tax that will lower the tax burden across the board, and it only affects 0.3% of the people, you would imagine like it's a no fucking brainer. But when the same thing where they said, listen, we got to remove the flat tax and put in a progressive taxation, and it got voted down. Then they said, well, we're going to put an extra tax on all high-end real estate transactions that are multi-million-dollar real estate transaction, which will alleviate foreign investments coming in, gobbling up all the empty property and reduce rents, reduce real estate costs so working class people can actually work to one day maybe own a home. And it got voted down because the indoctrinated masses, the functionally illiterate masses of the people, they hear and see the word tax and they automatically think it's government. Tax is bad. All taxes are bad. I'm voting against taxes. I know people who don't even earn enough to pay income tax that are anti-tax. So even though I'm voting yes, I have no confidence. And then there's another Illinois penalty saying that any candidate that interferes with election workers in their duties, will that be a crime? Now that's weird. I didn't know that wasn't a crime, so that's a yes. So again, when people's like, I don't like Democrats, I don't like Republicans, the first 3 items on the ballot are not Democrat, Republican. They are citizens determining how they want resources to be secured and how they want resources to be distributed. That's it. And then another one is saying, hey, do we level penalties or we let motherfuckers do shit? So that's why you go and vote in every election, even if you hate the Democrats and the Republicans, even if you don't like any of the candidates on the ballot. In most election cycles, there's shit that you vote on that has nothing to do with selecting a candidate or supporting a candidate. Now, when I was young and I was in school taking civics, yes, thank you. That's it. Profit is theft. If you want to be outraged about how your money is stolen from you, focus on profits, not taxes. You want to focus on just distribution of taxes and reduction in profit and abolish profit. So that's on down the line. I already got my thing on the thing. That's just my ballot. And like I said, for Congress, I'm voting for Jonathan Jackson. And he's the incumbent. Not happy about it. And this is what's fucked up. There were several positions here where the Green Party could have made a real run at it. But the Green Party would rather put all their resources in running for president every 4 years, as opposed to really building a grassroots party. The Green Party is not a grassroots organization. It's a foil, and I regret all the time I've wasted with the Green Party. After tomorrow, y'all not going to hear shit from Jill Stein. She'll disappear for another 4 years. And in another 4 years, the Green Party will not come with any new strategies, no new tactics, no new angles. They're going to come with the same shit and lose the same way because they're more interested in being right than they are in winning. And I don't play with this shit, but I digress. But let me tell you this. This is the real burden. There are going to be dozens and dozens of judges on the ballot. And the way that I determine what justices to retain or what justices to vote no on is I go to this website right here. And so I'm not a smart man. I just, take shortcuts and cheat. So I go to this website a lot, Judicial Injustice Watch. And they have the 2024 judicial election guide. They don't tell you who to vote for or who to vote against, right? They just say, hey, they talk about various judge, and Injustice Watch is a really, really good, but it's they have another site called Judicial Watch, right? So you go to the election guide, right? And they have these things. These judges, some of them are former prosecutors. They have a notable controversy. Now, if you see notable controversy, don't get upset, because a lot of times controversy is they did some good shit. They did some let me use the young people's language. They did some base shit that they're in trouble for. Negative ratings, I don't pay much attention to that. Former public defender and notable reversals. So you go judge by judge. Flanagan, I already marked this. Hell no. Yes, former defense attorney with favorable. So I'm not too partial. So you see, I already made my choices. And let's say I go here and Kenneth Wright. I don't like Kenneth Wright. Let me look at this dude up. He don't even have a picture, but they have his record. They have his income. They have notable cases that he's been on. And I just sit here and go down the line. A lot of these black justices, let me tell you something, the black female, when you see notable controversy or reversals, they really are go hard in the paint on these black judges, black female judges especially, but black judges, they all have some blemish, right? So anyway, you look here, you can find out their record, and then you print it off. So when I walk into the ballot box tomorrow, I already have all the judges that I'm going to, because Prep Winkle, I already marked, I already determined which justices I support. This is 4 freaking pages. So I take this into the ballot box. I don't really need to take this, but I would just printed it off for y'all because I'm pretty clear on the issues here. But I don't follow the justices and shit. I got 2 parking tickets. I know that. It's parasitic city. But anyway, that's probably the thing. But, even though Big Boss Prep Winkle told me to vote yes on retention of all justices, no. A lot of those prosecutors, a lot of those pernicious hang 'em high judges, I'm voting no on retaining them. And that's it. Civic duty done. I plan on writing in Claudia on the ballot. And I don't think I'm a baller. I don't think I'm based for writing in Claudia, because this, like I said, I live in a Democratic stronghold and she's going to carry Chicago. And I'm very sympathetic because Trump is an overt racist and a fascist. And I know that these same radical black people who are like, screw the Democrats, or these intellectually lazy people who say there's no difference between Democrats and Republicans. If a bona fide, overt, racist, fascist theocrat takes office, they ain't got shit for you. They don't have shit for you. So all these people saying, screw Kamala, don't vote for Kamala, and she won't call for a ceasefire. Kamala was a bad, aggressive prosecutor, all which is true. When like I said, if Trump gets in, he is an overt racist, fascist theocrat. And that's some smoke we ain't had to deal with in the United States in a short while. And I know a neoliberal centrist Democrat is whack as fuck. But Trump is objectively worse and will do objectively more and a more aggressive harm. And the same people telling you, don't vote for Kamala. If Trump gets in, you can't call them. They ain't got shit for you. Because like I said, Biden, who is also a neoliberal centrist, they weren't able to foment opposition. And I know most people listening to me not revolutionaries, and we know our larger community isn't revolutionary or radicalized. And frankly, the Black revolutionary Pan-African left has done very poor job in, number one, revolutionizing or radicalizing the Black masses. So the Black masses, as we will talk about, are go along to get along. So I am sympathetic, and I don't claim any type of points for refusing to vote for Kamala. And I do take, and I acknowledge, and I admit, Trump is objectively much worse option than Kamala. You know, Kamala's bad, Trump is worse. There are no good, viable options on that scale at that level. There are good and viable options on the local level. And so people that are voting for, like my oldest son, he's like, I'm voting for Kamala. He's a college student. His girlfriend is looking to school. They have a 1-year-old daughter, and he's like, shit, you know, and he's going to be here long after a lot of us who are talking all this shit are going to be long gone. And he's like, listen, I've weighed the options. I'm very clear on what my goals and objectives are, and I'm going to have to throw this shit at Kamala. Trump is going to make my shit much harder to navigate in the next 4 years. And that's that. I love people that can't differentiate. All bad, all good. All bad, all good. You know, we need more. And I know we don't value analysis, but let me tell you, actions are only as good as the analysis. The actions one takes is only as good as the critique, analysis, and comprehension of the person who laid out and planned and executes the action. So saying, oh, profit and taxes are the same thing, they're both theft. That's not true. That's not how that works. But I digress. So you know how BroDiallo is going to vote. I'm voting for Claudia. I know she don't have a chance hell in winning. And so my vote is, whether I want to acknowledge it or not, or want it to be true or not, is a protest vote. I'm voting to send a communication to tell the Democrats who will be in power where I live that there is a leftist vote out there that they can court if they so choose. If the Democrats want to start to court or seduce or manipulate leftist votes, it's possible. But dissatisfied voters, you know, vote left. And one thing you will articulate to those who will eventually take power is that, hey, maybe some of their rhetoric and some of their policies can be integrated so we can get some more of their votes. Who knows? Well, I've talked about that already. You know, I hope Trump loses. I think Kamala's bad. Trump will be far worse. And I think that the community will be in a better position. And one thing about even the naive Black Democrats, if Trump wins, that's going to drive them further and deeper into the armpit of the Democratic Party. Because now they can say, well, all this stuff is because of Trump. If only Kamala had won. If Kamala's in, and we continue our actions in organizing and teaching and articulating and organizing and building, we can demonstrate to them, if you're intelligent enough to know that the right has no solutions to you, but you're hopeful or naive enough to believe that the center, the neoliberals, have something for you, then let us demonstrate to you the viability of going further to the left. And whether you're just moving to the left to abandon the Democrats, or you're under the impression that the Democrats can be moved to the left. Either way. Can we talk about Trump's fascism? Yeah, I think we can. Because a lot of people were like, well, the government's fascist, everything's fascist. So yeah, maybe we'll come back to that. What I want to talk about today, let's just jump on the topic, because I also want to have some conversations, because if people got questions about the rationale, motivation, or justification for voting. What? Oh. So I want to talk about how we love traitors. And we love, oh, that ticker tape has been going across the bottom for the whole time. Sorry. I'm not trying to seduce your or manipulate your subconscious into supporting me. I want you to support me deliberately. Anyway, I want to talk about something that pains me and that has been really grinding my gears since I was a child. And today's show is We Love Traitors. The Black community loves race traitors. I wanted to put race traitors in there, but I don't even want to. I think this is something we need to hear. And I talk about this often. Dale Jones once said with his chest, he said it with his chest, never leave a traitor unpunished. And another conclusion that you have to grasp is that any people who do not have the capacity to punish traitors, or do not exercise the capacity to punish traitors, will produce almost exclusively traitors. This is a factual comment that I have to say, that I don't like to say. Black people, we incentivize selling out, and we disincentivize revolution and revolutionary. Dave Chappelle once was being interviewed by David Letterman. And David Letterman, because white folks just love Dave Chappelle. I thought brothers love him. White folks can't get enough of Dave Chappelle. And he asked him, you could do so much more. You're such a credit to your race. Literally gave him the fucking credit. And the Dave Chappelle y'all think he is, he's not the man y'all think he is. He's just got really good marketing and promotion. He's like, you're one of the good ones. You're one of the exceptional. You're so articulate. You go back and watch the Dave Chappelle, David Letterman interviews. Dave Chappelle sitting there sucking it all up. Yes, I am one of the exceptional ones. And he's like, well, why don't you do more? You could be a Malcolm X. You could be a Martin Luther King. And man, I think the ancestors knew, like, we got to keep BroDiallo broke. Because if I had the resources to be in certain rooms at certain times and around certain folks, I don't know, maybe I'd behave myself. But anyway, Dave Chappelle looks him dead in the face and says, there's Malcolm X and Dr. King died penniless. They died broke. And he said there's no retirement plan for Black leaders. So he says, Black folks can't afford me. The revolution can't afford me. I'm worth so much more. And I ain't going to be broke and penniless like Dr. King and Malcolm X. And I'm like, you flaming asshole. You ruptured hemorrhoid. And I used to like Dave Chappelle, man. Everybody let me down. Chuck D, KRS, all my heroes. I'm just waiting to go online, because I got a few heroes that's still holding it down, and that I still have respect for. But I know one day I'm going to log on and Wise Intelligent going to be wearing a MAGA hat or some shit. This is everybody let me down. But he ain't let me down yet. Shout out to Wise Intelligent, De La Soul, all the people I grew up listening to. MF Doom, formerly known, I know him as KMD. He'll forever be brother KMD, Zev Love X, but whatever. And the first thing I thought to myself, and what Dave Chappelle should have said, not Dave Chappelle, what David Letterman should have said, is you want to talk about black leaders dying broke and early? I'm like, do you know any other fucking black comedians? How many black comedians died early and penniless? I bet you for every black leader that you want to say died penniless, I can name 10 black celebrities. And I ain't even trying to diss them. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Red Fox, the feds kicked in Red Fox's door and were hauling out all kind of memorabilia, Hollywood memorabilia, took everything that man had and then drug him out of the house and put a fucking padlock on his mansion with him sitting in the yard with 2 of his dogs. And Red Fox literally was like, at least they didn't take my dogs. God damn. I can go down the line. I could go down the line. Yeah, Red Fox, and enough respect to Red Fox. We can go into Richard Pryor and go into the elites. Eddie Murphy is the exception, not the fucking rule. So you're going to disrespect our ancestors, disrespect our freedom fighters, disrespect the people who lost their lives trying to advance our interests, make a positive contributions to the just aspirations of African people across the world. You're going to sit comfortably and disrespect them and not even and say something that is so patently hollow. Because entertainers die, even if you don't die broke, you die early. And if you live long enough and you survive and you don't OD, Michael, Prince, Otis Redding, and like I'm not disrespecting these people, I'm just talking of the absurdity, how they like to diss revolutionaries because there's no retirement plan for revolutionaries. And how many entertainers end up incarcerated, lose their goddamn mind, go fucking crazy. You know, Martin Lawrence, a great talent to some people, not my favorite. Robert Harris, yes. But Dave Chappelle want to pretend like it's only black revolutionaries down bad. I mean, Martin Lawrence, that poor man. I mean, how is he even acting? They got him on marionette string, and you can sit there, Malcolm X died penniless. As if that's the fucking goal. But I digress. I don't know why I'm bringing that up again. I need to find new shit to talk about but I continue to digress. That comedy shit drove Richard Pryor to self-immolate. But you're going to disrespect, and everybody's like, yeah, these broke-ass revolutionaries. And what's really fucking funny, I'm going to say this one more time, and I'll try not to repeat this. The concept of a broken black man and black woman has been flipped. When they brought slaves over here, the slaves who were submissive were considered broken in. And they had facilities and experts, consultants who could come to plantations and you buy a new shipment. You got a rebellious slave. Now you can't torture them. You don't want to maim them because you want to get your money back from your investment through their labor. So how do you punish a rebellious slave without encumbering or hindering their capacity to work? So they would break them psychologically, emotionally, socially. And now broke the black people who resist, who give their lives for resistance. Now they're the broke ones. And the ones who fully submit, the ones who fully bow down, the ones who offer no resistance. In fact, the black people who offer the most enthusiastic support for the systems and institutions of capitalism and white hegemony, calling those who resist broke. Because we don't have no fiat. We don't have a pat on the head, a rub on the tummy, and an extra bucket of chitlins from Massa. Because we don't live in the big house and get to wear the cast-off top hat. We don't get to pay the fiddle at master's dinner parties. So we're broke. We need to reclaim brokenness. Dave Chappelle is broke. That's why you had to walk. He brags about how he walked away from all that money. And y'all think he walked away from that money because he's principled. And then later they came out with the 5th season, the hidden season of James Chappelle, and show he wasn't principled. Everything he claimed he didn't want to do, up to and including wearing the dress, he did. So it wasn't principalities. It's because he was broken psychologically and emotionally. But he tried to tell that lie, I did it on principles. I took a stand. He didn't take a stand for himself, and he didn't take a stand for us. He was broke. Fortunately, he came back. I don't wish no harm on the brother. I know he's intelligent, and I know he's talented. I just wish he would wake the fuck up. Go woke. He's on some anti-woke, anti-cancel culture when you should have leaned into wokeness and embraced the cancellation of coon-ass traitors. But y'all love him. Just one of the most blaring examples. He's on his way here. He's going to be performing here somewhere. And I get to pretend like Chappelle. I'm going to pretend like I'm not going to that Dave Chappelle's show off of Principality, not because I can't afford it, because I'm too broke to go, because I have to hate from outside the arena because I can't afford to get in. I'm going to pretend like I'm not going based on my principalities. But I digress. But Dave Chappelle, not only did he suffer no consequences for saying something so disrespectful and inaccurate about Dr. Martin Luther King, who left his family a pretty grip. He won the fucking Nobel Peace Prize. He was a multi-thousandaires, if a millionaire. Not that it fucking matters, but you can say just lie on our dead ancestors. Face no consequences because we love traitors. He's still getting credit for I don't know what, that he's protecting us from the agenda. Y'all don't even listen to him when he talks. Y'all don't even listen to the man when he talks. But this is replicated through all these celebrities. Let's just review what a celebrity is. A celebrity is not someone who is talented. A celebrity is not someone who entertains. What allows someone to reach what we call celebrity talent or celebrity status is their capacity to be an embodiment of the goals set forth by the institutions of power and by the capitalists. So you become a celebrity when the corporate media apparatus determines that you are an embodiment of their goals that they have for the masses. Celebrities are aspirational people for the unwashed masses. That's all a celebrity is. That's why you have a lot of celebrities that don't know how to do comedy, they don't know how to dance, don't know how to sing. They could make me a celebrity tomorrow. And that's why it's not just, you don't even talk about the celebrity talent, the celebrity ability. They talk about the celebrity lifestyle, celebrity fashion trends. So I know a lot of artists, some of the greatest, best artists that are not celebrities, that have been putting out consistent work. Some of the greatest MCs. Like I said, Wise Intelligent, Boots Riley. I'm not a fan of his movie and TV shows. That's just me. I just wish he would keep rapping. But other folks like it. It must be deep. Boots Riley, talented, been putting out consistent material, consistent quality material since 1992. Wise Intelligent since 1988. Skip Coon took a 10-year hiatus and came back and slapped down one of the dopest albums I've heard in the last 10 years. But they are very talented. They are very prolific. They are extremely charismatic, but they will never be fucking celebrities. So don't think, you're a celebrity because you're talented. What makes you a celebrity is if you can portray, if you can embody to the masses of the people that the system is right and exact. Mayweather is a celebrity. He ain't boxed in how long? He ain't had a real opponent in how long? But you're going to see Money Mayweather going to be popping up in your face for the rest of his life if he stays on this track, flaunting that money and his $1 million duffel bag and his overly aggressive security. So you'll be a celebrity. We all know the Kardashians can't even, they can't jump rope. Find me a Kardashian can't do a fucking cartwheel. They're the biggest celebrities in the world right now. So that's what a celebrity is. Dave Chappelle is not just a comedian. He's a celebrity. You see, he gets the Mark Twain Awards, all these awards and accolades. Martin Lawrence is Will Smith. And let me tell you, I ain't even hating on Will Smith because the kind of shit he makes, I haven't seen his dramatic shit. I just see his blog. I Am Legend and Independent. I see his propaganda, his pro-war, military industrial project. I like shit. Sometimes I like to turn my brain off. Since I don't smoke weed, I don't drink the liquors. I don't get no liquor. So when I want to just put myself in an altered state, I would just watch empty media. I watch pointless, baseless, empty media. So thank you, Will Smith, for allowing me for my own form of escapism. I just like escapism that don't fuck with my respiration, that don't fuck with my liver, But I don't, some of y'all got braver than me. Y'all can do escapism that'll fuck up your physiology. I can't do that shit. But Will Smith is a fucking celebrity. He ain't the greatest actor. Who's that one guy? I can't think. Well, I'm just saying. The living embodiment. Even Denzel Washington's a celebrity. They all got some whack shit. Denzel is an ultra-conservative right-wing Christian. And he's always got Christian propaganda embedded in his movies. And I like Denzel. I think he's a great thespian. But I hate how he's be pushing conservative Christianity. So anyway, celebrities, by definition, are enemies of anybody who wants justice, anyone who wants to transform a society, anybody who is discontent with the status quo or in opposition of the status quo. Celebrities are your enemy. That doesn't mean you can't listen to their shitty music or watch their shitty movies or go to their shitty stand-up where they don't even tell jokes no more. They just rant about, punch down at transgender people. We won't name names. And but you have to understand, I am receiving entertainment. Even Common. Oh, I was just listening like Water for Chocolate or, I was just listening to that. Common was a dope MC. I say was. I ain't heard none of his new shit. I can't. But Common reached celebrity status, crossover celebrity status. I like Common back when he was a backpack rapper. Fortunately, Dead Press ain't went over there yet. And I don't know if it's because they don't want to or because they ain't been invited. But shout out to Dead Press too. Keep it a buck. But I digress. We love traitors. And one of the reasons we love traitors is because we can't define traitors. And the reason we can't define traitors is because we haven't defined our status. And when I say status, I'm not on some more sovereign citizen bullshit. I'm not that. When I say we have to define what makes something a culture, one aspect of culture is a semi-permeable barrier. Meaning that people who live or exist or dwell or function or contribute to or receive from a culture, cultures are non-physical barriers, boundaries of depth that define you, that connect you to people within the culture and have some type of barrier between you and the people outside of a culture. Culture is a lot of things. We know the many aspects of a culture. But one thing, culture exists to define a people, to identify the people, to tie people together, to sustain and protect people. And you hear everybody fucking talk about the culture. And when they're talking about the culture, they're usually talking about how somebody raps, sing, how they dance, how they dress, what they listen to, what they're into, what kind of shit they consume. Whether or not you wear a bonnet outside or you sag your pants, none of that shit's culture. Culture is how you see yourself, how you see those who share the culture with you, and how the people you see outside. Culture, the main thing culture is supposed to contain is all the things people need, material and immaterial things that people need to sustain themselves. Look at a petri dish. In a petri dish, they call it a culture. And you want to grow an organism. You have to look at that particular organism and say, what are the things that allow that organism to survive and reproduce and sustain itself? Different organisms need different things. Some organisms are anaerobic, meaning they grow in a environment that has little to no oxygen. Other organisms need an abundance of oxygen. Some organisms grow in the dark. Some organisms need an abundance of light. So if I want to develop a culture, the whole point of me developing a culture is to sustain an organism to the point where that organism can live and that organism can reproduce itself. And that organism can be protected. Some organisms are very delicate and need a sterile environment. Some organisms can have some defense mechanisms where things come into the petri dish and it can be consumed or fought off. So when you're looking at the Africans anywhere in the world, and you want to talk about African culture, before you can say this is an actual culture, does it sustain the people? Does it have specific components that the people need to sustain, grow, and expand? A lot of times we don't even understand what is of us and what is of other people. A lot of times when we're talking about we want to do things to empower ourselves, everything we do to uplift ourselves, to sustain ourselves, for some reason, accidentally ends up profiting and benefiting some alien hostile culture. Like Amos Wilson would say, you find people like, I could buy whatever I want. I could drive wherever car I want. I could live wherever I want. I could send my children to school, any school I want. Yes, to all of that. You can do all that shit. But why is everything you quote unquote want independently for yourself, that you decided independently for yourself that you want, comes from another culture, puts you in the pocket of another culture, and profits another culture? Just by accident. Your independent choice tends to be anything but African, anything but resistance. I could do what I want to do. Yes, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do, but you never want to do revolution and liberation. I like what I like. So, one of the reasons we love traitors is that we can't even identify traitors. And one of the reasons we can't identify traitors is because we have not identified the boundaries of our culture. We have not identified the fundamental components and aspects required to sustain our culture and ourselves. So when people betray us, we don't recognize it as betrayal because we don't recognize ourselves. And so we can look at a famous person, we can look at a politician, we can look at an organization, and they can be saying things that are detrimental. And we can look to us and we don't know who the fuck we are. So we're just looking like, he ain't talking about me. Like you have women who follow sexist, misogynist like Tariq Nasheed, Dr. Fubar. I need a name for Dr. Tariq Not Shit. That's his new name. Tariq Not Shit and Dr. Fubar. And they like, well, he's talking about all them other females. I don't have multiple baby daddies. I ain't no single mother. He's talking about them other females. So you can look at a fascist like Trump talking about, I'm going to deport 20 million immigrants. I'm going to kick them all out. The whole countries. They're eating cats and dogs. And you be like, he ain't talking about me. He's talking about them other niggas. That's what happens when you don't. And those same people that say that shit will be like, yeah, I'm for the culture. Look at how I dress. Listen to the music I listen to. Look at all this soul food on my plate. I'm invited to the cookout. Listen to the vernacular and the slang that I use and think that's the culture, and then go out there and support individuals and organizations and institutions that are blatantly hostile to their being able to sustain and advance their people. Because we love traitors. So first we have to say, what's fundamental to African people? What are the boundaries? What are the boundaries? What do we allow? What will we not allow? And people come in, well, we don't allow homosexuality. Took that shit straight from European white folks. We about the bag, capitalism. And they don't even know. They don't even fucking know where the fuck that came from. I have people tell me atheism isn't African. That's a European thing. Atheist is a Greek word. And I'm like, well, who was more successful than spreading religiosity and theocracy across the world? You know, but I digress. Right now in the United States, I don't know of one self-identified atheist in the Congress or the Senate or the White House. At best, you will have an agnostic. So anyway, black folks, culture is inadequate anyway. We need revolutionary culture, because you'll find a lot of people saying, well, this is not as common now as it was back in the 90s, but a lot of people in the Black liberation struggle would insist that we need to learn an African language, adopt an African spiritual system, wear African garb, and have an exclusively African spouse if we want to get free. But if those things were the key to freedom, we'd have never been enslaved. When they found us, we had all that shit. We had all that. There was a time on planet Earth there wasn't one African who didn't worship anything other than an African god. We the oldest people. We were doing shit. As Don Henry Clark said, we built civilization, watched it collapse, rebuilt it, watched it collapse, and rebuilt it again before the white folk ever put on a shoe or lived in a house with a window in it. So we're very ancient people. Well over 90% of all of our scrolls are written, our architectural were obliterated through a series of European and Arab conquests that is going on to this day, which is why if you run into 100 Africans, 99 of those Africans will either pray to a Islamic or Christian god, or Judeo-Christian, or Abrahamic God through conquest. And I'm so sick of y'all black Christians running to Ethiopia. Every time I call Christianity white, y'all love to run to Ethiopia. And I ask y'all, and at least go to an African Coptic church. There's even in places, even if you live somewhere remote, you live right across the border in Kansas. Kansas has a Christian, Ethiopian Coptic Christian community and church right there. And you can walk right up in there and ask any of them that you believe Christianity was in Africa in the 350 AD. In the 3rd century, Christianity's been in Africa for as long as it's been in Europe. That is very true. So yes, Africans have been Christians, a very small population, a very minute population of Africans have been practicing Christianity for as long as most Europeans. But how the fuck did it get there? It didn't originate there. And if you talk to any African, say, who is the holiest saint in the Coptic church? And they will say Saint Phromedes, or the first bishop of Aksum. And that was not an African man who was born or raised or come from Africa. He came into Ethiopia through Egypt. He came to Egypt through what I think it was, what's the fucking place? Jordan or something? One of them places in the Middle East. But his racial origin is white, Greek, Persian Greek, whatever the fuck that was. He was the first man to go to the African, the king of Aksum, and say, may I start holding worship services and spreading the light of Christ in the empire of Axum. And Africans, because we are not a xenophobic people, we are a xenophilic people, which is our greatest characteristics and our greatest failure. What is the greatest thing about the people? On the flip side of that, you'll find out the worst thing about the people. And they will tell you. A little white monk came there and gave them the light of Christ. And the only reason he didn't come enforce it is because he didn't have an army behind him. So he came there meek. Just like you see in parts of North Africa, the Islamic court came with force. But then when they got too far beyond their supply lines and got to Senegal, when they got to West Africa, they came humble and meek. Just like the Europeans here, when they was just a few of them on a little rickety ship, they came as pilgrims and say, hey, let's eat squash and turkey. But as soon as the fort was set up, they came with force. And you was like, well, my ancestors, they weren't, but I digress. Just stop. Before you ever say Ethiopian, Africa, Christianity in Ethiopia, take your ass to a Coptic Ethiopian church. They'll welcome you. Even if they don't do the sermons in English, most of them speak English. Ask them questions about the origins. The oldest Christian church in Africa was not founded by an African. So even that little nugget you hold on to justify embracing your colonial captors, your enslavers' religion, that little nugget, I won't afford it to you, because our ancestors have endured too much for me to accept anything less than the truth. But anyway, we love traders. We incentivize selling us out. We have several public figures, not just the entertainment and sports industry, but also in politics and economics. We'll watch a Black entrepreneur engage in the same exploitative, predatory practices. And if they succeed, we will praise them in their success. We will commend their success. We will set them up as goals. There are also traders in the tabernacles, in the mosque, in the spiritual temples, even in the shrines. And we don't recognize. And we cannot effectively organize against external threats and external enemies if we do not have a culture, a value system, a comprehension of who is within our ranks, doing us harm, or acting against our interests. Before you can define who's acting against your interests, you have to clearly define and articulate what your interests are. And there's a big difference between your interest and the alien implanted interest. You know, as much as secular as Amos Wilson was, he would always talk about possession. Demonic possession, or what he would call somnambulistic possession. He said most African people are literally sleepwalking through existence. So you say, well, what's our interest? Securing the bag, getting that money, having businesses, sending more Negroes to Harvard, sending more Negroes to the U.S. military, electing a black man to the highest office in the land. And now we'll elect a black woman to the highest office in the land. So we have to define what our interests are. The liberation, the decolonization of Africa, and the reunion and recoordination of all African people to the continent of Africa. The security, the physical, psychological, social security of African people. The full access to the resources and direct control of the resources necessary for us to cultivate ourselves and to live dignified lives. The punishment and retribution of those institutions, organizations, and nations who have preyed upon us for generations. These are the specific claims. Everything else is a strategy and or tactic. Whether you're talking about opening a business or taking your ass to school or getting some degree, that must be a tool, an asset, a tactic, or strategy to secure these fundamental goals of our culture. Pan-Africanism, revolutionary Pan-Africanism, the reinvigoration, the reestablishment of Africa's biodiversity, the cessation and reversal of toxic pollutants within our environments, the capturing of carbon emissions and reduction and ending of carbon emission, the implementation of renewable, sustainable economic and industrial practices. These need to be cornerstones of our culture and our goals. And you can contribute to that. If you're going to fucking rap, embed that in your rapping and singing. If you're going to open a business, embed revolutionary Pan-Africanism, ecology into your business. If you're going to take your ass to school, whatever you're going to study, you're not going to plan to come out and work for these arms industry if you go get an engineering degree. You're going to come and work in the ecology. You're going to start to build independent industry. If you're going to do psychology, you're going to orient your psychology around healing our people from Mentacide, the deliberate destruction of our capacity to think critically. These are our cultures. And then we identify everyone around us according to how. Are they actively advancing this culture? Are they neutral, indifferent, passive to all forces around them? Are they actively working against us? We fucking love traitors because our outlook and values are warped. You know, there's been some very famous Black people who have just come out of prison. There's some very famous people who have gone into prison. And the way I hear Black people discussing this shit is completely wrong. The very same people who will sit there all day and tell you about the CIA plot to distribute crack cocaine in the Black community, to undermine revolutionary struggle through biochemical warfare. I will sit and watch Black people sit there and talk about the agenda dating back to the Nixon administration for mass incarceration and draconian laws going from Nixon to up into the Clinton administration to lock up as many Black people. And they will sit there and run that shit down to you and give you books. And will sit there and talk shit about COINTELPRO. And in the same fucking breath, they will look at agents of COINTELPRO, assets of the federal government, people who conspired, coordinated, and assisted the government in the distribution and advancement of these genocidal agendas, and look at them like they folklore, like folk heroes. Wear these motherfuckers on your t-shirt. Watch shows about the lives of this entertained by our own fucking genocide. Sit there and watch a show. Not to be educated, not to be enlightened, not to be outraged, be like, oh, I love that fucking show of our own fucking genocide. Can you imagine a series where the lead character is a German Jew who helped the Nazis carry out their plan, their final solution, and personally got paid off of doing it? And we sitting here watching the show about it, and then looking at the man who executive produced the show, who also put out relentless propaganda about dying for money and killing for money and doing whatever it takes to get the white man's fiat, no matter how it harms your people. And we sit there and a bunch of Jewish people like, I like that show. That shit was fly. Or some Jew that coordinated with the Nazis in their agenda and got locked up in Nuremberg for his crimes, and then he gets out and comes home and gets on social media, if it existed back then, and starts balling out, and people all looking at that shit like it's fly, like it's cool. We celebrate people who actively, deliberately, unapologetically aided in a genocidal campaign of mass incarceration and biochemical warfare of the distribution of crack cocaine. Gary Webb, a white man, lost his fucking life putting this story out here. And now we look at it as entertainment. And the people who came out, go on tour, giving war stories about what they did, how much money they made. I was making this much money every week. They don't tell you how many fucking babies died in their mother's womb, how many children went to bed hungry because their mother went in the refrigerator and got packs of meat and sold it for drugs. How many homes were kicked in by the feds or shot up by rival gangs. They just talk, yeah, I was pulling down 6 million a week, and that was in 1987. And we're like, whoa, we're entertained by our own fucking destruction. And then wonder why, if I'm a 5, 15, or 20-year-old young black youth, shout out to Wu-Tang and the young black youth comment. I can't say black youth without saying young black youth. But, and why they want to be dope boys. And we sit and look, they won't pull their pants up. They won't do this. They won't do that. Because I know when I was coming up, and as corny as that shit was, when I was coming up, I was listening to Ghetto Boys, gripping on that other level. I couldn't wait. Shout out to Rip, the Crip, my best friend growing up, who let me dub. What's that tape? You let me dub Ice-T's Power. I know you want to try it and all that. I had that shit. But for those who came before me, my uncles were Gil Scott-Heron. My grandma had Dr. Kane. My auntie, who was a little bit more radical, my grandmother's sister, my great auntie, was talking about Malcolm and how she was in Harlem in the early 60s. So they're celebrities, and it was love songs. It was songs about how money can't do nothing for you. It takes the love to the people, Curtis Mayfield. And I ain't saying you got to listen to that old shit. We should be making new shit. But we should be giving at least as much attention. Like I said, it should be a 5-to-1 ratio. I'm not saying don't listen to the slackness. I'm not saying don't listen to the slackness, but you don't ever put yourself in a position where the slackness takes priority over the fucking revolutionary shit. But I digress. We don't incentivize. While we got the most recognizable, famous black man in the world, Dave Chappelle, talking about how broke Malcolm X and Dr. King was. At the same time, we got black people who were assets and agents of COINTELPRO. And I'm not talking about the corner boys, the nickel and dime. I'm talking about the kingpins. Every single crack kingpin was an asset of the COINTELPRO mass incarceration agenda. And they don't come out and tour the community and apologize. They don't come out and say, well, these are the European, these are the judges, the prosecutors, the DEA agents. They don't come out here and tell the community and give an accounting to the community and put it on record saying these are the people, I was an agent of the state, and these are the institutional powers that allowed me to do this. They don't come city to city, go on city to city tour to give us the insight and the information that we can use to further advance our struggle for reparations and to expose the crimes against humanity committed against us past so that we can be more informed going forward. They come to us bragging and boasting and bawling. And we paying to see it. Can you imagine in Vietnam, the many Vietnamese coordinated with the U.S. armed forces and the French colonial forces. There are many Vietnamese who are allies with the genocidal campaign within their own country. So many Vietnamese. And they, once the guerrilla movement took power, had to get the fuck out of Dodge. They had to pack up everything. Many of them couldn't pack. They had to leave. They were literally clinging on to the rudders of helicopters. Because Vietnam said, we're not going to reward traitors. You ain't going to be able to come back here and tell our children stories about how you sold out our whole community, our whole nation. Dale Jones said, never let a traitor go unpunished. We ignored the shit out of that. We let traitors go and become heroes. We let traitors become wealthy celebrities. Every black person of note, every black politician, every black celebrity, every black businessman should wake up in abject fear of cancellation. They should all live in fear. They should go into these boardrooms and be like, listen, I can't say that. I'm a black man. My people won't go for that. There was a time we had it like that, and we took it for granted. Oh, no, that ain't going to fly. I can't take this. I'll lose my black support. Now, the only thing black people require of you is that you get rich or die trying. That's the only thing. If you're doing good, black people will praise you. If you're getting money. So if I'm a rapper who's a billionaire and I said I sold crack and I'm on tape smacking the shit out of women and I've done all these bad things, but I'm a billionaire and I've even set with billionaire propaganda industries, entertainment and sports industries, and made billionaire contracts and sold out budding movements and sold out other people. But I'm rich doing it. But like if I, BroDiallo, since I'm a poor black man, if I go slap up a woman and slang a little rock, you know, but I'm poor. So they be like, look at this dude, his broke ass struggle YouTuber Diallo out there doing that shit. We need to let that shit go. Here's the thing. If you look and ask yourself sincerely, what is it that any non-African person can secure from African people that will give them greater standing amongst their own people? What can an Arab come to Africa to gain from Africans, that is African, that will give them status amongst other Arabs? What can a white man come to African people to secure that will give him greater standing and status amongst all the other white people? What can a black man go to white folks and get from them that will give him status amongst black people? The answer to that is many things, from degrees, titles, Hollywood Star Walk of Fame, Grammys, titles, general, congressman. The answer should be nothing. I'm not saying black people shouldn't go get shit. I'm not going to say, go get your degree. I got degrees. My oldest son is working on his degree, and my youngest son ain't even out of high school yet, but he's already getting letters from school. Yeah, I'm not saying don't go get that shit. But you having the bag, you signed a contract with the fucking NFL or performing at the Super Bowl party. We need to get to the point where we are radical, revolutionary, and conscious enough to say, well, that's good for that. But over here, we have different standards. Over here, and I ain't talking about no motherfucking NAACP Spin Guard Award. Go look up who Spin Guard was, because even the NAACP awards are white. We need to uplift and say, hey, these are our goals, our priorities, our values, and you win over here. You get this title, you get this status, you get this recognition, then the community will respect you. Until we do that, we will never, ever be able to form effective opposition, let alone start to go towards liberation. Liberation is not just a physical thing. Liberation is an intellectual endeavor. It is ideological at its core. The only thing that will allow illiterate goat herders to fight the U.S. military is their mindset, their mentality, the way they conceptualize and believe into who they are and the way they see them. The only thing that allowed a bunch of malnourished rice farmers to fight off the U.S. war machine. You go and even if you read books on guerrilla warfare, and you notice these people who defeated, they didn't come to the United States and attack the United States. The United States was provoked to attack them. And they sent the U.S. back licking its wounds and then made a bunch of Hollywood movies Go look at all them Vietnam movies. Go look at all them the new Iraq war movies that they're making about the veterans coming home and all that shit. That's another thing I have to remind myself and my community of. White folks don't just fight to win wars, they fight to win the peace. And Del Jones again said, the European is more dangerous at the negotiation table than he is on the battlefield. And the reason he's more dangerous at the negotiation table than on the battlefield is because of the things I'm talking about right here today. We don't even know what the fuck victory looks like. We think getting a cash payout. We've allowed reparations to be turned into by the ADOS movement and by the FBA movement and be turned into a money grab. When it was never a money grab. Reparations does not mean you get money. Reparation means you get restored. Now they're like, yeah, the United States can still have empire, can still engage in neo-colonialism, still fund genocide, still engage in violating the basic human rights of refugees. But I don't care. Just pay me. That's not fucking reparations. If every black person woke up tomorrow with $1 million in their account, I'm not saying I'd take it too. I would not fucking delete those funds or yes, I'd take it. But unless those funds are going towards true liberation, what the fuck? It's going to be a year and a half. How long it takes to squander that level of money? Our children, if not grandchildren, will be right back where we are today because ideology is what's most important. And we allow the monetary goals of the reparation struggles to be detached from the ideological leftist Pan-African revolutionary component of the struggle. And now it's just a payoff. And we're going to accept green fiat for blood debts. But I digress. So, I know I do this personally. I do this as a lonely individual. Anybody that acts against the collective self-interest of all African people, I make a note. And I don't fuck with them. And every opportunity I get, it's DEL with one L. I don't fuck with them. And I understand. I got some brothers who are like brothers to me. I got brothers. I don't know how to tell these stories without snitching. I'm just saying there are people that are close to me who sold drugs, who got locked up, who did things. And so I understand. Especially, I mean, shit was, I don't know nothing about the trap today. I don't know nothing about the streets. I didn't know. And the shit I know about the streets, I learned reluctantly because I got no fucking love for the streets. And black people need to leave that street shit alone. Gangsterism is a European pathological status. It is a European sickness. Gangs and gangsterisms are a European sickness that have infected us. European culture has produced gangs going back as far as the first gangs can be dated all the way back to the Greco-Roman era. Gangs are consistent, predate. European gangs predate Europe. I mean, white gangs predate white founding of civilization. And gangsters are bottom feeders. They're economic bottom feeders. They feed off the scraps left by the elites. They have the same values and goals and tactics as the elites. The elites of the world exploit the poor and working class masses. They exploit our labor, and they leave us in a state of disruption and fear. They want to disrupt our ability to unite and organize our class, and they want to make us fearful of their violent retribution if we go against them. And now, whereas the multinational corporations and states have the military and the police, but the gangs have the same goal: accumulate as much resources and wealth as possible, doing the least amount of productive labor as possible. The elites don't want to do productive work, and they want to exploit the productive work of the masses. So do gangs. And the reason why the state tolerates gangs is because the gangs make it much harder for cohesion and organization, up until the point that even when there have been revolutionary uprisings and rebellions in the United States, in Italy, when there have been communist uprisings or street level spontaneous rebellions in the United States, the US government goes and employs gangs and gangs leaders to quell the uprising. Even when there was a gang truce, the gangs were coordinating and working with the LAPD to upend the gang truce. And I don't support gang truce. What I say is the next time we have an uprising and all these come talking that shit, the gangs and coming together, all that bullshit, you need a gang amnesty. A truce is not an end to a war. When two sides call a truce, that is not an end to a war. That is a temporary cessation of violence. And we out here praising, yeah, it's a gang truce. First of all, why the fuck is there even a war with black people and other black people? That alone makes you a fucking coon. That alone makes you a race traitor, that you are even engaged in a war in the first place where there shouldn't even be a need for a truce. But it literally says gangs truces are for a certain amount of time. So a cop murders a black man in cold blood and black people take to the streets, rise up, and then we get what, a month, a year, 6 months of cessation of violence? Gang amnesty, if they were really saying, hey, we want to be positive, then you let our sons walk away from that shit without consequences. You stop that blood in, blood out shit. But we play games. All that to say, go out and vote tomorrow if you haven't voted already. You know, if you vote in Trump, then I don't know what the fuck to say to you. If you vote in Kamala, I understand, but I think it's a short-term political strategy that will, in the long term, not pay off. But I understand, because I would say vote socialist. Vote for Claudia, but that ain't. I mean, I've been around. I've been engaged in politics. I've worked on campaigns. I've written policy platforms. I've done voter registration drives and all that shit. I've been in politics a long time, so it's really, like I said, a protest vote. And again, I ain't telling you to do what I do, because I live in a blue district. I know. But I can't say if I lived in a red district, I probably would go ahead and have to vote Kamala shit. If I was still living in Missouri and Kansas, I probably would have voted Kamala. So I ain't judging you. But I tell you, regardless, we're going to have to take to the streets. We're going to have to organize. We're going to have to be in active, relentless opposition, regardless of which party gets elected. I don't know. Do we have time for questions? I think we have some time for questions. Just a couple, really short. If y'all can really come quick with it, we can do it. But I have some questions. I start. Thoughts on Mansa Musa, the wealthiest man in history, was a benevolent black monarch. First of all, there's no such thing as a black monarch. I mean, a benevolent monarch. I don't support monarchies, kingdoms or queendoms. Even African ones played out pretty much the same. So number one. Number two, wealth as defined by the West, having an abundance of gold and material riches. I don't respect that. That does not make you a good person. That makes you a glut. Number three, I think he was detrimental to Africa. He was detrimental in two ways. Number one, his irresponsible squandering of the wealth of Mali caused regional economic disruption and collapse. Number one. Number two, he's Arabized African. And Arabized Africans continue to be a hindrance to the liberation and unification of Africa. Arabized Africans have united with the enemies tormentors, colonizers, enslavers, and mass murderers of African people. Right now in Sudan, the Janjaweed militia is with the RSF and creating one of the biggest famines in modern human history. There are over 25 million Africans being starved to death because of the relentless conflict of Arabs and Islamified, Arabized Africans and their ongoing conflicts. So, and Mansa Musa is part of that legacy. Islam owes a great debt to Africa. Africa rescued Islam when it was in its cradle and most vulnerable. And Islam, the religion and the powerful people within that faith, have done nothing to repay or acknowledge that debt. They've done the opposite and engaged in relentless assault against all things African, our culture, our people, and our land. And right now, Africa is under colonization, not just by Europeans, but Africa continues to languish under Arab colonization. And you have Arab communities in the north in Egypt right now claiming that they built the pyramids, stealing our legacy, stolen legacy, and all that. So I have no respect or no love for Mansa Musa or any Arabized African. African culture does not believe in Halloween. I don't understand what that means. I don't even understand that statement. Believing in Halloween. Halloween is a true thing. It's something that's real. So whether you believe in it or not, if you say it's inappropriate for Africans to practice Halloween, I'll hear your argument. But what you're saying, and people love saying this is African and that ain't African. That's not how it works. So, I'm an African. I'm a member of the African diaspora, and I do Halloween like a motherfucker. I'm not a holiday with free candy. I'm so in. And a holiday that tends to rub religious fanatics the wrong way. Oh, I'm so in. Can we talk about Trump's fascism? I think I did already. What's funny is I've been talking about Trump's fascism since before Trump even announced he was running for president. You go back and listen to the 1993 album, Genocide and Juice. They have a skit on there where Trump is rapping. So, but I can talk more about fascism in particular because also fascism does not belong to Trump. Fascism predates Trump, and it will be here long after Trump. And Trump is not even a very good at fascism. Trump's handlers are really the scary thing. Roman, you're live on the BroDiallo show. Question, comments, criticism. But I respect that, Arthur. So we will talk more about Trump's fascism and fascism in general, especially if he wins the election. Roman, you there?
Yeah, what's up, Diallo?
Hey, how you doing tonight? Thanks for calling in. You got a question, comment, criticism?
I do got a question. First, I hope you're doing well. And my second is, how do we as a people, what's the first step to rebuilding our racial esteem? I'm starting to learn more about what you just mentioned earlier, the stolen legacy, all these amazing things African people do, and how it's kind of hidden through scholarly indoctrination. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How do we take this, I guess, a first step to building our esteem as a people and not tying it to what these ADOS FBA people do and just tie our identity to our whatever region we happen to be on at the time?
Well, behavior is created and maintained by its consequences. So the way we do it as a collective is incentivizing the appropriate behavior and disincentivizing inappropriate behavior. We have to consciously say, hey, I'm going to go out here and buy books at this revolutionary author. And if this revolutionary author is on a book tour, I'm going to go to my local university or library and try to get this person and show them the love and support. Because like Dave Chappelle is trying to push, that we let a lot of the people who fight and struggle and sacrifice us to struggle needlessly. And so we incentivize people by showing them the love, respect, and solidarity that they deserve. And then we begin to shun, ignore, mock, and expose those who betray us. So it's all about the consequences. We need to start incentivizing the behavior that we want to perpetuate and disincentivizing the negative behavior. That's the very first step. And we can do that as individuals, we can do that as small communities, as families, and we can do that as a collective. So whatever scale you're operating on, then that's when you begin to do that. There has to be real material, real-time consequences. So, hey, I'm throwing a party. We don't play no Lil Wayne music. He said, fuck black people. No, we're not going to play no Young Thug or celebrate Young Thug coming home. Because Young Thug, when he was asked about the plight of black people, he said, fuck them niggas. We balling. We getting diamonds. We wearing diamonds and pearls and flying private jets. Fuck the struggle of black people. So you, as if a black individual, especially a prominent black individual, says, I'm for self, then if you go over there, stay over there. If we can't be up with you, we can't be down with you. So in our day-to-day lives, in our day-to-day interactions, that needs to be the standard. It was a time where Carthage was at war with the Roman Empire, or the Greeks, whichever one of them. I think the Romans. And they said it became the fundamental identity of the enemies of Carthage. When they would walk down the street and greet each other, they would say, good day, citizen. Carthage must fall. Carthage must fall. That's all they heard. That was just the normal greeting. Carthage must fall. They made the defeat of Carthage their fundamental identity. So we need to make the dignity, power, liberation of African people our basic identity, and there needs to be real-time material consequences for those who do good and those who do bad. That's the starting block.
I hear you. One thing I want to ask, I guess, what's your opinion on, let's just say, like hip hop, for example, as it is right now for black people? Do you think it's contributing to Mentacide? Do you think that there's a way for it to be more, because it like hip hop is like one of the most, it's like the only thing that we kind of really control, you know what I mean, where our voices are the most prominent. I saw you roll your eyes, so I surely agree. But I was having a conversation.
We never controlled hip hop.
Okay, like I get that, but you know what I mean, like our voices are constantly in this music. It's constantly everywhere, regardless of whether we control it or not. You know what I mean? And I was having a conversation, this person said, why does hip hop need to be held to such a high standard? You know, and I was saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird that we...
Let me tell you, first of all, you're not talking about hip hop. You're talking about pop music.
You're right.
All genres of music feed into pop music. And pop music is basically a art, a grassroots art, because all arts come from the bottom up. There are no arts that come from the elites. The elites are parasites. They don't produce shit. They just capture and monetize what the people produce. So hip hop is conscious. Conscious hip hop is the only real hip hop. What we're doing is people doing pop music, where the style, the presentation, the content of the music is explicitly established to generate revenues for companies. That's not fucking hip hop. That's not hip hop music or culture. So what I think about hip hop is that it has been captured and bastardized by the multinational corporations, and they've pretty much diluted to where it has become pop music. And even when a pop music artist does something that can be conceptualized or seen as conscious, the industry makes sure that that same artist does whatever it is necessary to immediately destroy that. So you take Kendrick Lamar, when he's like, we don't want to hear you say nigga no more, and calling someone a colonizer, and black people are like, yeah, these non-black people shouldn't be using the N-word. Should we even be using it? And then they were like, yeah, we do have these colonizers. So they was like, boy, you got to go do a song with Eminem, and we're going to let you open the Super Bowl, and you're going to be standing in front of a big flag so you don't accidentally inject some consciousness into this. So even as KRS-One said, hip means to be, when someone says I'm hip, that means you're aware in black vernacular. So, you know, I'm hip. That's what, when I was young, we used to say that. He was like, oh, I'm hip to this. I'm hip. Going back to the 70s, the counterculture music, the hippies were the people who were aware of what was going on. So hip and hop is a movement, an upward movement. So hip hop translates to be conscious upward movement. So if you're rapping about your ops and dead ops, you're not really doing hip hop, you're rapping. And there's a difference between hip hop and rap. So these rappers are pop artists doing popular music, meaning doing music that satisfies the white majority. And the white majority loves black self-destruction. The white majority love are entertained by the destruction of those they have enslaved and colonized. But that's not even unique to us. In Asia, in the Middle East, they love to see the people they have conquered displayed or portrayed to them in demeaning ways. So that's something they always lust for. So if you want to be, quote unquote, a popular artist, a crossover artist, then you degrade yourself and your people before the colonizers, before the oppressors, and they will reward it.
Okay. And my last question is, I'm starting this like little meetup group that I want to meet black men around the area. And I want to talk about serious sort of political, current events, but I also want to keep it lighthearted and, try to just get to know people. How should I go about that? Injecting
Is it just men exclusively?
Just for right now, yeah.
Well, if it's for men exclusively, you probably want to orient it around something athletic, competitive. I used to do this thing called the slingshot shootout, where we would basically go to a abandoned park on this small island, and we would use paintballs. But because paintball guns are relatively expensive, we would just use slingshots. And while we were congregating and preparing and going over the rules for the game, I would talk to them about the other meetings. So if you want to bring men together and try to ease them into, you want to create a level of camaraderie, familiarity, and comfort. And then you can be saying, hey, the group that organizes this fun, athletic, competitive event, we do this, but we also have some stuff. And I also used to do freedom fighters and the slingshot shootout, and the freedom fighters was light sparring, martial arts sparring, boxing and things. We would do that in the park, and we would have some martial artists come and demonstrate some moves and techniques. And brothers like to get their muster up, and so there was that and events like that. But if you're doing something, our things were open to men and women, but you want to do something, even if it's a spades tournament or something of that nature, that's competitive, physical, and get them out. And then, like I said, once the camaraderie is established, then you can start to go into the politics. And you don't even have to be top heavy with the politics. Put a little RBG. Like in the naming, we used to have this thing called the Achosi Run, which was an endurance run things where you name it after an African Orisha or something like that. So you can inject a little bit of Pan-African conscious politics in the stylings or the decoration and naming, but establish the familiarity and comfort before you go into that.
Okay. Well, thanks for talking, Diallo. It's always great talking to you. You have a good night.
You too, bro. Okay, our last caller of the evening, Old Dirty Kung Fu. What's up, bro?
Yo, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm good.
That's what's up, man. So I got two questions, and part of my question was actually in the last caller in Romans questions. With our people being so overly concerned with the appearance of culture, because that's pretty much what Kendrick is giving us right now, and of course, the spirituality portion of it, right? That's always part of the argument. How do we how do we like have conversations with them about culture in terms of like what that means with liberation, because they don't fully understand like what culture is, and so they're like you said, they're holding on to this like fake stuff that's manufactured and is so easily commodified and co-opted. Like how do we deal with that?
It's the same thing. I think that a lot of political organizations fail to do the social aspect. There was a woman, a white anarchist by the name of Emma Goodman, and she says she doesn't want to be a part of a revolution that doesn't allow you to dance. So in a way, we have allowed for a separation between the scholarship, the intellect, the ideology, and fun, dancing and the music. So we have to refuse those aspects. I think if for every time you organize on a political level around a movement, we shouldn't just leave the entertainment and arts to Tyler Perry's or your local janky promoter. You know, we should be doing. I have a friend who's a very well-known international artist, and he came and did a black tour where he only stayed at black hotels. He only went to black venues. He only worked with black promoters, and he only, you know, it was a whole black thing, and he just couldn't get support around it. He went through a few major cities, but it was nowhere as significant as it should have been. So, and I'm sure a lot of organizations, and I mean, there's a movement here about, you know, getting the murder music, the anti-African propaganda off of Chicago's radio. Because they're literally songs that drop on the radio that directly lead to assaults and homicides here in this city. And the radio stations play it. And the local McDonald's will run advertisement. And I'm like, why aren't you guys, you're telling people what not to listen to. You need to stop doing that. But you're not giving people any progressive, positive alternatives. And so when the conscious rapper came to town, I reached out to this organization. It's like, listen, we got a hip hop legend coming to town, and the venue was damn near empty. So we telling people what not to do and not giving them alternatives as to what they should do. So we need to inject our culture and our entertainment with our politics. We need to end that separation. You know, the Black Panther Party had a political wing, but they also had a music, arts, and culture wing to it as well.
Right, the lumping.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful music.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was here, one of the things, when I had the Black Oppression Opposition Movement and the Bloom Collective, we had a promotional company. We started a promotion company where we would be in barbershops, we'd be in local concert venues, we'd be in local restaurants, putting on events that were entertaining, high quality, and infused with revolutionary ideology and politics. So you could come out and eat, sing, dance, watch performance, or get up and perform yourself at an open mic.
Oh yeah. So like as a cold transition too, because I'm like, I love that this is going the way that it's going right now. And just your thoughts on this, on how you would do this. I just moved to Georgia into this new community, and it's all mostly young Black families. And I hear like I've been radicalized within the last, like, I would say 3 years. 3-4 years. Like I just hopped out of that liberal capitalist mindset that, you know, you get indoctrinated with. And as I was doing my studies and everything, and I'm out here now. I was in Washington, and it's like this is fresh ground for a great community. We got an HOA. We're gonna have people on that. Like, what would you do in this situation, in this kind of community?
I'd start with a book club. If they are you said it's young families, middle class, I would do a book club. Sure, there was a space for children, childcare, not childcare so much as that the children are allowed to be there, and just go from it's in a housing with an HOA. You can. I was part of this wasn't a book club. It was actually a Black atheist club. They eventually kicked me out, but we would go to people's house and people were able to put out hors d'oeuvres and stuff, and the kids would be running around and playing. So we would do, you could start a book club, and there are a lot of books, like you have authors like Zora Neale Hurston or Octavia Butler or India Okorafor, who's a more contemporary artist, where it doesn't even have to be Soul on the Ice or the autobiography.
Blood My Eye.
You can read, right. It can be fiction. You can alternate. There are fiction writers who infuse their fiction with liberatory and Pan-African and anti-colonial themes in their fiction. So that's what I mean. Just from the environment you prescribed, a bunch of, you know, Black families and, you know, a bunch of nerds, I would start with a book club which is low cost, because if you want to start something, you want to make sure it's very accessible.
Right.
And then
He
you
had to
can
call me
go
out like that.
more involved.
Sure. Yes. Thank you for that. Because I was really looking for a way to kind of like break that in and like make sure our community is good because our kids are growing up here. So yeah, I appreciate that. Huh?
I appreciate you too, man. Keep me abreast, and if I can help in any way, and that goes for Roman too, if you're still listening. I appreciate those efforts, and Skip has been talking to me a lot about liberating our people from the internet, like bringing people back face to face and back to the streets and off the internet. And he's been
Yeah, Skip is dope. All right, I'm a peace out. Thank you, man.
I appreciate you, bro.
For sure.
All right, that's it for the BroDiallo broadcast tonight. There are many ways you can. I'm passing the digital collection plate. So all my people hate listening. You can probably tune out now because I'm asking for support. And like, share, subscribe, and share. Even if you don't have material resources to contribute to the BroDiallo show and my ongoing efforts, you could at the very least help me on the algorithm side of the street and like, share, and subscribe. Share this with your friends, enemies, allies, haters, and felicitators. And yes, we're also redoing African World Order. You can get merch at AfricanWorldOrder.com. This plant just dripped on me. My pants perspiring. So come to African World Order, and there will be new merch and all kind of stuff and new designs. And I just reached out to the press. You're going to be able to buy a vinyl copy of Skip's new album very soon. Just big things happening, big things are going on. And like I said, Skip been on my back and was like, get off the internet and get back in the streets. I don't want to, but I have been shamed into taking it back to the streets. So more grassroots organizing and struggles coming soon. A lot of big things happening. Go subscribe to the African World Order YouTube channel for additional content, additional shows, new shit well beyond what we're doing here at Diallo Kenyatta. But don't leave me. You can have us both. You ain't got to leave me to go to them. We'll share. And I guess that's it. That's all the announcements. I appreciate y'all. If I didn't get to your question, I apologize. Please tune in and we'll pick it up next Monday with the Diallo broadcast. Next week, and Wednesday, Skip and I are going to be doing an election mortem. So we want to subscribe to African World Order for the Rational Radical. And more to come. Oh, did I say, hey, contribute? You can be a Patreon down there. Where? Right there. See that? Patreon, CashApp, Venmo, all the nice things, man. Help a brother out, man. Break a brother off. Break a brother down. I made the ad. Now, y'all have a good evening.